So again, parents, this book is for you to take the reins back because either the teachers don't know how to, and there's some teachers who don't want to, and then there's some teachers who like they just feel like they don't have the time. They feel that time crunch for the million and one tests that are coming up in the school year. So that next generation of writers is being silenced. So as parents, we got to be serious about this. And a lot of times we don't understand the urgency until it's too late. I'm just trying to pull back the curtain for you to see the urgency. So are we teaching our children how to be the boss to get those skills? Or are we setting them up to be bossed around? Hi, thank you so much for joining the Falling for Learning podcast. I am TD Flenaugh. We have this podcast to help parents and caregivers with having the resources, strategies, and tools needed to make sure that their children are on track for learning and to stay on track for success. This is a time to reset and really make sure that we have our kids on track for 2024. Now, this series of episodes, when I am going to be on a solo episode, we're going to be talking about the rewrite method, the parent and educator guide for getting middle schoolers to fall in love with writing. And I know that people will think that's hyperbolic, it's a problem, like our kids really going to fall in love with writing. And I am here to resoundingly and repeatedly say yes, yes, they will. Because we have witnessed our children falling in love with football, basketball, skateboarding, video games. You figure it out. You have seen this. You have seen your child fall in love. So let's get into it. What is the rewrite method? Why did I develop this book? So, first of all, the rewrite method stands for, it's an acronym, R.E.W.R.I.T.E, an acronym that stands for different principles that we should be putting in place to make sure that our children have the skill and the will to write, right? So we say fall in love with writing because we want them to write and want to write, okay? And so the R stands for root causes and recognizing talents. We don't know why some of our kids hate writing. I have some ideas, but obviously it's a case by case basis. Some of our kids don't like to write because of a variety of reasons. We need to get to the root causes, and parents are the ones to do it. And we'll go into why teachers are kind of tied up with other things that aren't prioritizing writing and why parents have to step up. So E is for effective feedback. R.E.W.R. R is for, so R is for real world purposes. I is for intentional practice. And T is for traits. And and our final E is for encouraging creativity. So each of these letters stands for, again, a principle that really would drive positive practice in writing. So today I'm going to focus in on one of those, which is the T for traits. So writing traits, there are several different ones. And again, when you get the book, you will be able to see what we're talking about. Um, there are several different elements, and just to name a few, there's conventions, meaning how correct is the writing. There is organization, making sure that the paragraphs and sentences are arranged in a logical way, in a way that flows. And then today we're going to talk about word choice. And word choice can mean different things. And word choice could, for example, mean including figurative language. W could mean that, so the word choice could have to do with figurative language. But in this case, we want you to use, we're thinking about word choice as well as far as specificity goes. Are we specifically describing what we're referring to? So we're using word choice, and specific for word choice in this case is specificity. Are we using specific words to describe and explain, basically naming and explaining what we're referring to in a clear way? And so, one of the activities in the workbook, we have the rewrite book, right, which is a parent and educator guide. But we also have the rewrite workbook. So the workbook will also provide detailed information, um, like not just detailed information like the book does, but also those specific activities with a parent. Like, here's how it might be answered so parents will know, because we understand depending on, your level of expertise, you may not be someone who knows all about how to help them with writing. Therefore, we have this book for you. So we'll have like an answer choice equivalent for you. And we will also have activities that you could just give to your child and they can work on it. Now, we know that parents are busy. So we're going to make sure that these activities can be short. You can address these writing needs in about 15 minutes. So very easy peasy, like let's get it done. But real world applications, all of those things that are really going to fuel some writing passion from your child. And of course, it takes time. So if your child does not like writing at first, don't expect for it just, they do one activity, they're going to love it from then on. It's not. And it also depends on your attitude. And parents, you know, you cannot be like stern and mean and all that, um, because our kids sometimes shut down. Working on specificity, specific words. I'm going to give you an example of something that does not use specific words, and we'll hear this all the time. So here is a paragraph. So here we are. She wore a nice outfit to the party. So nice is one of those very general words. She's a very nice person. She did a nice job. Um, have a nice day, but it doesn't really explain what that outfit looked like. And so a revision of this sentence, and revision, I always distinctly I make it different from editing. Editing is more correcting. And obviously there's nothing wrong with the sentence as far as correcting goes. It's grammatically correct and all that, but the quality isn't there, and then the specificity or is not there either, right? The vocabulary is not there. So she wore a nice outfit to the party is revised to, and we want to take out words like nice that are used for 20 different things. So specificity gets you to the point where you can't just switch out those words. It's specific for that, and it gives you a clear view of what is being described, okay? So here it is. She donned a stylish ensemble with vibrant colors, pairing a crimson silk blouse with emerald green trousers, accentuated by a statement necklace and sleek stiletto heels for the party, right? So again, when we're thinking about middle school, because remember, this is the rewrite method, the parent and educator guide for getting middle schoolers to fall in love with writing. We want them not to just write correct sentences, but we want them to write sentences that are middle school, secondary level, using vocabulary, sentence constructions or structures that are more complex, right? So we are challenging our children to use their brilliance. And of course, wrote a nice she wore a nice outfit to the party. However, do we have to make this sentence about parties or an outfit? No. We do not need to make it about an outfit. And again, you want to think about what is interesting to your child. So if they're into anime or manga or whatever, have them write about a character in that, or have them write about themselves. Maybe they have an activity coming up, a dance coming up, and they want to write about that. Maybe they are into fashion, so this works perfectly for them. So you want to always try to tailor what it is to your child's interest and preferences. This is how we get them to love it, right? Because we already are connected to something that they love. So very important. So next, we want to give them another challenge, because there's another way, another word that people use all the time is good. She's good looking. She has good food. Again, have a good day. Good could be used in 50 different ways, right? So again, when we're thinking about specificity, we want to challenge our children to notice when there are just general overused words, and then how to level up that writing, okay? So here we have: the plate of food looked really good. It had a good taste and was really good to eat. The flavors were good and it was a good mix of ingredients. Overall, it was a good meal. So very general, a lot of good there, okay? So we want children to understand how to revise the paragraph by eliminating the word good and making it very specific instead. And we can give them some hints about how to make it more um, how to make it more specific. And one way for us to do that, of course, is the talking about specific flavor words: spicy, sweet, tangy. Words like that can really bring to light what is good about what you ate, because we know we've had some good ice cream and we've had some good ribs, but when we think about specificity, you're not going to describe the ice cream the same way that you're going to describe their ribs, and helping students to understand that. Okay. And let's pause for a moment. Why is this important? Is it just a fun activity about being specific? No. Specificity, right, gets you the bag. And again, writing is not just some one-off skill that maybe we learn in school, we need to do it. Writing is something that you need to use all the time in your life. And knowing how to be specific is going to make the difference between you securing a job or a deal. So today, I'll make a little pause to say about the tea. Let's build the tea. No. Anyway, my tea today is like this turmeric and chai tea that my husband bought from Costco. And I don't even usually drink whatever, but it's pretty good. I don't know. He drank it when he had got COVID. I mean, I was sick like 4 days, but I'm not calling it COVID. So he had COVID, not me. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, that was a little break on my tea. Anyway, let's get back to it. So, the type of flavor words and all of that. So let's give us an example again. What does that look like or sound like? The plate of food appeared appetizing, boasting vibrant flavors and a delightful taste. It offered a tantalizing blend of spices, with a hint of sweetness complementing the savory ingredients. In essence, it provided a gratifying and flavorful dining experience. Now, notice this can even be revised further, because we don't even know what the food was that we ate, right? The way it was written here is we don't even, I chose to write it this way where we don't even know what the food was. So the children can specify what was eaten. Join us for Well Educated Wednesdays every Wednesday on Instagram Live at Falling for Learning. It is a free parent question and answer session where parents can ask questions, learn about resources, strategies, and tips to make sure their children are on track for learning and stay on track for success. That's every Wednesday on Instagram Live at Falling for Learning. We look forward to seeing you and helping the next generation thrive. Making sure that your writing is specific, again, is going to ensure that you get the bag. You know, how are you going to secure the bag when you're writing a resume and a cover letter, and you're using words like good and stuff and things, right? And if you don't know, you don't know. So that's why you gotta, we doing these practices and understanding these different elements of what makes writing good. For example, the writing trait, it'll make a difference not only just what you do in school, but your real life, right? Like this is going to make a difference in you getting a job, you getting your money back when you say that there were some issues, the service wasn't good, and then, or rather than saying, specifically, we waited 35 minutes. Like again, getting into that specificity. So specificity can be um word choice, like just individual words. Let's switch out good for spicy, but it also could mean adding specific details. I did a great job when I worked at my last company. Rather than I improved productivity by 15%, right? So specificity has many different layers to it. Um, but of course, it's adding more words and adding examples and all of that, which also overlaps with the concept of ideas, because that is one of the traits as well. So details could also come in the form of ideas. That is under ideas. So again, but knowing these elements will help make children aware of, and you as a parent or educator, parent educator, right? Because we know there's lots of teacher mamas out there, like myself, um, to help your child understand and help them to help you to explain it to them, and then for them to internalize those ideas so that they can consistently improve in their work and talk about what they need to improve and notice an area where they need to improve. My writing isn't that specific, right? I need to add some better word choice here. I have been using the word good a lot, or I've been using the word nice a lot. And so I can improve in that way. And they will be able to recognize it themselves over time. The writing is so important, right? So after, and again, the way you flow through this with your child is, it's recommended that I do. You as a parent or educator or teacher mama are doing it for them, demonstrating, like just like today I showed you, like this is a bad example, and here is an example of how it's supposed to be done correctly. And you could be more explicit, meaning like, let's go word by word. Let's take out the plate of food looked really good and say the food appeared appetizing, right? So we've changed those couple of words. So you can slow it down. You don't have to give everything all at once, but or also go word by word and explain why you chose this new word, why you used this more specific word instead of just good this time. And then also helping them with your thought process for each word, right? Um, so that is the method of I do, like demonstrating, and then we do. Let's do a couple of them together. Instead of saying, the food tasted really good, like what else can we say? Like let's talk through it together and do it together. So maybe you would come up with one or two words and they'll come up with two more words. And then also, like, what are we eating? Is it ribs? Is it grapes? Is it, a fruit platter, or is it vegetable platter, or, what is it? And they could decide. Again, making sure you always leave room for choice for kids is going to help them hook into this writing process, and rather than what you want them to write about. And I'm going to take a moment really to lean in onto why I wrote this book. Um, the writing the writing instruction has been at a crisis for so long in the United States. So in 2003, the National Commission on Writing in America's Schools made an assessment of writing being a neglected skill in schools, right? Teachers do not have adequate training for it, and therefore the students aren't getting great writing instruction. Now, in 2017, the National Association of Educational Progress, they did a writing assessment for students across the United States, and 3 out of 4 of the students wrote below grade level. So basically, only one kid out of 4 is able to write on grade level, and that was pre-pandemic, mind you. So writing is a neglected skill that we have to lean in on, and we can't just leave it up to teachers. We as parents have to take back the reins and be a part of the solution and not just sit back and watch our students fail, because it is a way to continue poverty and a way to continue educational disparities as well as economic disparities. So we have to fill in those gaps if they're not being made at school. And we can also advocate for better writing, instruction, and, you know, by that rewrite method, the rewrite method, the parent and educator guide for getting middle schoolers to fall in love with writing. We've heard lots of social media influencers and all of that talk about how kids' skills aren't on par. They're not where they're supposed to be academically. Of course, some of that could be attributed to the pandemic, but a lot of it could be attributed to uh, teachers not knowing how to teach writing, and then maybe not having the opportunity to teach writing the way they want to, and as well as um, parents needing to really lean in and pay attention to what their kids are writing and how they're writing and supporting them in the process at home, right? Because we know that if parents get involved, kids will know that it's important to the parent, and they will also try to work on it and really add importance to it. Um, so these are some really important parts. And I also want to talk about like some cultural trends that are going on across, like what they call the cultural wars, right? Across the United States, people are, taking out books written by people of color. They're talking about reverse discrimination, or making kids, maybe kids that are in um, more affluent or Caucasian persuasion of them being, they're talking about them being uncomfortable with certain writing. And right, basically, we're being silenced, right? And then if you couple that with the lack of writing instruction that's been going on for over 20 years, where they did a research about the writing instruction and it's basically in the toilet. It's trash, right? It's not good. And the other thing I want to say is that, and I've said it before, is that testing has been elevated, has been prioritized over instruction. What does that mean? And again, I'm not just throwing out wild things, but when we look at it, kids will be tested like 30 days a year, like a lot of a lot of time. It's crazy. And then if they have certain needs, like if they're an English learner or something like that, the testing's even more days. So let's think about like 30 days for some of our students, they're testing per year. We have these diagnostics tests, or like the tests that they take just to see where they are in general. And then they have these tests. So they take that beginning of year, middle of the year, end of year. High schoolers take the SAT. They take, the 11th graders take the Smarter Balance Assessment. But when we think about the other grades, third through eight, they all take that test every year. And then also they may have a science test, like if in their eighth grade or if they're in 11th grade. So it's a lot. It's a lot. I think the fifth graders take it in elementary. So sometimes teachers want to be creative. And I've talked to my team about this, and they're like, I don't know if we have time, right? I teach 11th grade, and they're like, I don't think we have time for that." And it's really sad because if you think about what creative writing is and what critical thinking and the freedom of choice is with writing, what it prepares you for later to be able to um, write a compelling um, cover letter for a job, the ability to write a compelling story, to sell a screenplay, to create a play, to change the ideas about what's going on in the world. If you think about plays like Raisin in the Sun, how it changed the idea of like these just happy Negroes dancing around the streets or whatever, you know, it just told like how Black people were striving, how hard they were working, but how all these things were stacked against them, how they have all these dreams deferred, and we get the backstory to the angry Black woman or the angry Black man or the frustration, right? Where other people are telling the story about how happy they are. And the truth is they're just saying, okay, they're grateful to at least have a job because we could take it from them at any moment in time. And so we really, as parents, if when you see people trying to silence your child, and that's what poor writing instruction is, it's silencing our children. Who's going to tell your story? You want somebody else telling your story? But if your kid can't write well, they're not going to be able to tell that story. If the kid only knows how to do fill in the blank writing, which a lot of schools, including high schools, give fill in the blank writing. And I'm not talking about students who have like a special need or something like that, but everybody in the class is doing the fill in the blank writing. That's what I'm teaching you is writing. And where we're all doing the same essay in the same way, where I tell you, if you don't have your first sentence, like topic sentence right here, it's not right. Like there's no way to think outside the box with writing. There's no creativity added to it. If that's what I taught you writing is, I'm silencing you. Because where are you in that essay? Where are you in that story? And again, they don't even want kids in high school writing stories. And in the face of the affirmative action decision with the Supreme Court, they said that's what we're going to look at when it comes to college essays is that story. If you can't tell your story in a compelling way with some specificity, with some sophisticated word choice, with some sentence structure that flows, then I'm just gonna push over you because I don't even know what you're talking about. I don't even know what you're talking about. Well, COVID was hard. We had a hard time during COVID. We had a lot of problems. And finally, I got my grades up. Next, I'm not choosing you. I don't even know what you're talking about. That's very general. It's not compelling. What was hard? What, wasn't it hard for a lot of people? Like, I don't know what you're talking about. And that is where our students are because you've been telling me to write a 5 paragraph graph essay that's fill in the blank. An essay that looks the same as everybody else in the class. Very little variation. I don't have any creativity. I've been told I can't do creativity. And I even been told that it can't just be creative writing. Which despite the standards say they can make real or imagined narratives. But because it's not tested on that state test, they're out there saying, nah, that's not important. And then when it comes to literature in school, a lot of us have been reading, old books, hundred of old books, uh, because that's what's available. Is it a Latino writer? Is it a Black writer? A lot of times it's not. But who's telling that story? Somebody else has to because the literature, and then they'll say, oh, that literature is not really up to par. It's not really up to grade level. Like it's more like an elementary book. And, we're not going to read this at the high school level. We need something more sophisticated like Shakespeare for our students on high school level. So that next generation of writers is being silenced. So as parents, we got to be serious about this. And a lot of times we don't understand the urgency until it's too late. Too late. Like, oh, who's writing? Well, I don't know how to write. I can write a 5 paragraph essay. Of course, if you give me the filled in outline. I could do it. Otherwise, I don't know how to do it. And this is where we are. And so then let's think about that next level. Creativity and critical thinking, the ability to make decisions, the ability to lead. You don't have it. You have not been exercising it. You've been told what to write and how everything should be written, filling in the blank writing. When it's time for you to lead and make decisions and solve problems, do you have those skills? It's a good chance you do not. It's a good chance you do not. Especially when you've been told, like, don't even trust what you're thinking. Like, this is what it should be written like. This is how it should be written. This is how writing should be done. And you really shouldn't be deviating much from there. And that's how they're teaching writing, which also, again, is silencing them. I don't have any creative thought. I don't have any critical thinking. I'm just trying to look to you as a teacher to give me guidance on what I should be thinking. And unfortunately, the kids are, let me put this together in the right way. Some of them are conditioned to do less work. And if a teacher comes and asks them to do more work and tells them, guess what? I'm not giving you a graphic organizer that you fill in the blank on. They get mad at us sometimes because the other teacher has been giving me fill in the blank and been giving me very easy work. Now you're asking me to do more. And why? I don't even want to deal with this class because you're asking me to do so much. And other people aren't asking me to do all that. So again, parents, this book is for you to take the reins back because either the teachers don't know how to, and there's some teachers who don't want to, and then there's some teachers who, like, they just feel like they don't have the time. They feel that time crunch for the million and one tests that are coming up in the school year. So if I stop for a day to be creative, to do some critical thinking, and then if I give them some research or something like that, it's going to take too long. And I need to get that 5-paragraph essay practice in. This is what we're thinking. I just know. I'm just trying to pull back the curtain for you to see the urgency. So are we teaching our children how to be the boss, to get those skills? Or are we setting them up to be bossed around? I don't know. You got to look in and see what your child's doing. So I'm going to leave it there. I thank you so much for joining us. But, let's get serious. This is 2024. Let's get our kids on track for learning and help make sure that they stay on track for success. And don't just let people tell you this is what we do here. If it doesn't make sense, if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. And the writing that they're doing ain't gonna make no dollars. It'll help you to support whoever needs to who's making those big dollars, to be the assistant, to be the person who's not making the decisions. I want to be, you could have followed my directions, but as far as that creative thought, that problem solving, that creativity is not there. That's not what we're teaching them to do. And we know historically that's what our children have been given, the short end of the stick. This is why they have made it really so everybody has a college level course. But again, is it a college level course just because it's called a college level course, or like a college prep course? Or is it a course that actually just lets you fill in the blank, but we have that title there? So again, let's be about our business, parents. Let's get into it. Let's get into the nitty gritty. Thanks for joining us. More next week. Get into those DM me, send messages, and also go to the website. The link is there so you could get this activity to make sure your child knows how to be specific enough to get that bag. All right. Have a good day. Thanks again for supporting the Falling for Learning podcast. New episodes go live every Saturday at 5 p.m. You can watch us on youtube.com at Falling for Learning, or listen on all major podcast platforms such as Apple, Google, Audible, Spotify, and much more. For more resources, visit fallinginlovewithlearning.com. We really appreciate you. Have a wonderful week.